Not only has the 8-month fantasy 5-star dry spell been broken, but we also have a new god tier fantasy. Hello, my darling friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nellie, and I love to read, and it's been a long time since we've read a really good fantasy book. Now, this is future Nellie that's talking to you right now, and I am coming to you with the knowledge that this week was such a good reading week. And also, we're gonna ignore the Legos on the floor over there. This week started out as like a realistic reading week in my life to see how many pages I'm gonna read in the day because your girl's got a job and she's also a mom. But I like to really push myself and read a lot. Then it kind of turned into a mood reading vlog which quickly escalated to me only reading fantasy. And let me tell you guys, this vlog is good. If you have been having a dry spell in romantasy, this is the vlog that you need to watch. If you've been having a dry spell with romantasy or just even fantasy, this is the vlog that you need to watch. Because not only did we find a 5-star fantasy, which has broken my now 8-month-long dry spell of giving fantasies 5 stars, but we also found a new god tier fantasy, and that to me is just wild because I am very, very critical of fantasy. It is the genre that I think I'm most critical of. I think maybe contemporary romance I'm also pretty critical of, but I feel like historical fiction and literary fiction, I hand out 5 stars like it's candy, because if you can make me sad, generally I'll give it 5 stars. But this week turned out, like I said, so good. And before I yap any longer, because this is already a pretty long video, let's just get right into the week. Okay, so we are checking in on the end of day 1. Well, I say the end, but I'll probably do a little bit more reading tonight. But I did just put my kids to bed and the sun is setting, and I just feel like this is my favorite time to read, is when it's just quiet in the house and I just get to chill on my comfy couch with my blanket. And I wanted to talk to you about the first book that I've picked up in this week, and that is Weaving Shaw by Al-Wasiti. I haven't heard a lot about this book, but what I have heard has been really good. It's supposed to appeal to lovers of gothic dark fantasy, and so far I do feel like it's delivering in there. I don't know if this is a fantasy romance, and I do feel like it is. I think that that's something I remember reading about in the few reviews that I did read about this book, or in the things that I heard, but there's not even a crumb so far. I am currently on page, let's see here, 106, so I'm just about to start chapter 10, and definitely so far it's just been the setting up of this world and really just getting to know our characters. We are following our female main character. Her name is Lena, and in the beginning of the book she's just in this really dire situation, and still is. She is desperate to heal her brother, who has this thing called sweeping cough, and if he doesn't get the medication that he needs, he's going to die. In this city, there's some kind of like a civil war happening, or an uprising happening, and her people are the ones that have been oppressed, and so her family has come to the city and have been refugees. She's lost her mother, her father is in prison, and so her and her brother really only have each other. But she's heard of this entity called the Saint of Silence, and what she's heard is that people come to him and trade their secrets for coin, and that's what she really needs, is to be able to have money to buy another round of medication to hopefully help her brother overcome this sickness. She ends up going to the Saint of Silence, which actually is just a play on this man's last name, which is Saint Silas. When she shows up, he's not what she expects as far as age. He's not very much older than her, but he is every bit as intimidating and as kind of terrifying as she thought that he would be. And she ends up bartering a secret of hers, which is that she can see spirits, she can see ghosts. For some reason, this is really, really intriguing to this man, this saint. And he ends up tricking her to be in his employ and basically saying, I'll release you from this contract when you help me track down this specific guy's ghost who has passed on, who was the last known heir of this place called Weaving Shaw. So that's the setup so far, and right now it's just kind of been her dealing with her new reality of living in this house and not really being able to leave without his say-so, and she has to sit in on these really, really horrible meetings where these people come in and confess like horrible dark secrets of terrible things that they've done. And Saint Silas is very much still terrible. Like, I'm not really seeing any redeeming qualities in him except for one, which is the fact that what has happened to to the other people who have come to him confessing their secrets has not happened to her. It's something, I don't even know what it is that overtakes them and ends up like slowly killing them. It's difficult to explain. And again, I'm only almost 100 pages in, but I do feel like this story is very unique. I don't feel that I've read anything quite like it before. I like that we're getting glimpses into this world and the politics of it, this people that is oppressed and these people that are trying to rise up and take over the place that they're at so they're no longer oppressed. I'm really, really intrigued by this prison that she's been to with St. Silas, and that her dad is one of the, thousands of prisoners in there. I want to know what's happened to him. And I'm also just intrigued by St. Silas as well. I'm wondering if he is going to have any redeeming qualities. Is he a love interest? Right now, we're not really getting anything, but I'm not sure how we're going to get there. And I'm excited to be taken on this journey. But that's just my initial thoughts. I definitely need to read quite a bit more before I can really give you guys my full thoughts on this, obviously, and tell you how I think I'm going to like it, basically. But one thing I did want to say is that I ended up purchasing the UK hardback of this, and I don't think I've ever purchased a UK hardback. I think I've only ever gotten UK paperbacks. And let me tell you, this hardback is elite, because not only is the quality of the actual hardback itself just so much better than the ones in the US, it's got this really cool, almost like a texture to it. I don't think it's going to show on camera, but it's textured almost like you would think like, I don't know, like a Bible in a Catholic church would be or something like that. It just seems really good quality. And another thing that I love about it is that each page is it's almost like pre-creased at the very end of it, like in the spine. So when you flip the page, it already lays flat. Like you don't have to smooth it down or anything, which as a reader, like just blows my mind. So anyway, you guys don't care about that, but I just thought it was really, really cool. It is a really pretty, I feel like, hardback in and of itself, and just is better quality than the ones that I buy here in the States. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'd be surprised if I don't at least get another 50 pages into it tonight. Maybe that's being a little ambitious. I do have a little bit of work I actually need to get done for my job, because I do work part-time and it's just a very busy month for me. We're gearing up for an event that's at the end of this month and I'm kind of drowning, but I still want to be able to read tonight. And if you've never been here before, I'm quite a fast reader, so I feel like I'll be able to get through it, but I will definitely let you guys know tomorrow morning. But I'm excited to see how much of maybe my monthly TBR, or who knows, maybe we'll mood read, but I'm excited to see how much we can get read this week, because I feel like I'm definitely back in my reading era, so we'll see. Okay guys, the sun is setting and I'm about to move my reading inside, probably to my bed, but I wanted to give you guys a quick update because we've just started to have our first, I don't even want to call it a crumb because it's probably less than a crumb, of maybe a romance in this book, and it was so good. It was so good. We had this moment where we obviously have this kind of hatred towards our male main character on our female main character's side, because he's basically indentured to her and she obviously wants to go back to her brother, does not want to be there. And there's a split second where she's able to catch him off guard and ends up turning his own weapon against him, and she's just interrogating him and he is just like, you don't have it in you, but he's still kind of like letting her interrogate him. And when she goes to hand his pistol back to him, we have this moment that just kind of had me screaming, so I wanted to read it to you guys. Even just looking at the page right before it, it's kind of reminding me of that scene in The Rain where Darcy and Elizabeth are arguing and she brings up Wickham and each other's faces, and she's confronting him about stuff and he's kind of like agreeing with her. In that sense, we have that dynamic, because she says, if I shoot you, think of how many confessors I can save from so much pain and misery. And he goes, no doubt, hundreds, countless. His reply was quick and sure, his gaze not leaving hers. As long as you live, you will use me as an object to inflict misery. I will be weaponized. And he says, you speak facts, madam. So he's kind of just like egging her on. And then we get to the point, obviously, where she is going to give the weapon back. And it says, just as she begun to withdraw the gun, St. Silas's fingers closed firmly over hers. Next time, his voice was rough as he dragged her hand, holding the pistol away from his abdomen and towards his chest, right below his heart. He glanced briefly at their intertwined hands, a harsh furrow to his brows. If you ever desire to unalive someone, not merely deliver a flesh wound, aim here. He pressed more firmly still. Oh, it just got me, especially that part in the middle where he kind of like has this furrow to his brows, almost like this moment where she takes him off guard is kind of what I'm thinking makes him see her in this other way, because now ever since then, there will just be little moments where he's looking at her and kind of like quizzically, almost as if she's fascinating him and he doesn't understand why. And then there's this other scene where she's been wearing lavender to the confessionals, like when people come in and confess to him in the beginning, because for her it brought like a little bit of a happiness into obviously such a dark thing that's happening. And we have this moment where he confronts her about it. Out of nowhere, he's just like, must you wear that scent? And it kind of catches her off guard, and she's like, does it bother you? And he says that it does, and she's just, but it has nothing to do, like, I'm not breaking any rules of my indenture. And she's like, no one's taken notice of it. And he's like, I have taken notice. That is enough. And she's kind of like, well, you're the only one who's distracted by it. And he's just like staring at her. And then he's just like grumbling and muttering as he's walking away. And it's just kind of starting to create these little pieces of tension where you're like, hold on a second. It's kind of just starting to create like this little bit of tension. Like there's not really romance that I could really say so far. And obviously, like, I'm only up to page 153. I did not get much read last night. And today has been so crazy between work, and I had some deliverables for social media. And then I also had some fun activities planned for my kids for summer. And then we went out to dinner as a family. So I'm just like, I read a bit in the car, and then I'm now reading as well. So I haven't been able to get very far, but even between like page 100 and page 150, we've only had 2 moments, but those that can't even be called romance yet, but it's almost like just the very, very beginnings of 2 people who don't like each other, who might potentially now have potential to be enemies to lovers in the long run. I'm just really, really hoping that it keeps on this pace of not jumping straight into insta love or whatever it is. Like, I'm fine to continue slow and steady and write out the slow burn. Other than that, I don't have much else to say other than I'm really enjoying it. I'm just worried because I feel like lately, obviously I said it's been a long time since I've had a 5-star, but even more than that, I've started certain books and just been so excited in the first 150 pages, and then I feel like they lose steam in the middle, and I'm just really not wanting that to happen. I really just hope this trajectory just continues, and I really like it. So I don't know, it's also kind of reminding me a little bit, not really in the storyline, but in the fact that it's so different, and it also has some notes of race and certain race being oppressed. It's kind of reminding me of the book that came out last year by Shalini Abesakara. I know the second book is coming out, This Blade of Ours. Oh, it's called This Monster of Mine. I don't know how I forgot that, but that was another book that was a very, very slow burn and just a very interesting, different than anything fantasy I'd read in a while, and even to this day. And yeah, so I'm getting really, really excited. I actually did not know this was a series, but if it continues in the way that it's going, I'm excited and I'm here for it. I'm gonna go sit in my bed and set up, I think, next to my husband, and then just get some more reading done, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. But so far, so good. I just wish I had more time to read, but we'll see. You guys, this book, I am literally having trouble stringing together my thoughts right now because I absolutely love this book. I am blown away by it, and I'm so, so glad that it didn't lose momentum and that I stayed interested. The slow burn stayed consistent. The enemies to lovers felt like more of a true enemies to lovers with like with kind of a bit of forced proximity. It was so good. I really, really appreciated that the world and the things that were going on, the plot, the characters kept me so into the story, and that the romance was not even close to the only thing to keep you interested. But that being said, I loved the romance. Like, I ate it up, and it's so funny that at the beginning of this, I was so confused on whether or not this was even going to be a romance. And honestly, kudos to the author for really making a really believable kind of enemies to lovers in the situation that they were in. It felt like there was a reason for that animosity. It had a place, and the way that she built their relationship up from the beginning, which was so rocky, was just so well done. I loved this book, and I cannot believe that I'm saying that I'm giving this book 5 stars, because I went back into my Goodreads, and the last time I gave a book 5 stars that was in the fantasy genre was back in November. Okay, so we're in the 6th month of the year, so that's almost 8 months without a fantasy 5 star, and for somebody who loves fantasy, that is crazy to me. So that really should tell you guys, like, I'm very stingy with my 5 stars when it comes to a fantasy romance, and for me this was perfection. Like, I was being as picky as possible, and throughout this book I just could not find a part that I was like, oh, I don't like this, so that's gonna knock it down. I just think that it was so well written. I think that the author really just had a story to tell, that which I just really appreciated, because it didn't feel like romance was the whole reason this book was written. And with a lot of fantasy romance, you can tell that the romance is the whole point, and sometimes the plot suffers, the characters suffer, the relationship arc suffers because of that. And I really can't speak enough about how incredible this book was. And if this is her debut novel, I'm just absolutely floored. I really think that this series, which I looked up that it's going to be a trilogy, but it has real potential to be a god tier series for me, just because how incredible this book was, guys. I can't, like, I'm feeling so many positive feelings towards this book. I've already texted 2 of my friends who read fantasy and was like, you need to read this book immediately. I need to hear your thoughts on it, and I need to yap with people who've also read this book. So if you've read this book, drop me a comment, because I just want to find other people who've read and love this book like I did. It's got under 7,000 reviews on Goodreads. More people need to read this book, and more people need to know about it, especially if you found yourself slumping in fantasy. It was just so good, and it also reminded me a little bit of the atmospheric feelings that I got while reading the Belladonna trilogy by Adeline Gray. So if you really like those gothic fantasy romance vibes, then you should really check this book out. Oh, it's so good, guys. Like, I was so close to hopping on last night when I finished this book, because I read so many pages yesterday. I just needed to finish this book. I was loving it so much. I could not put it down. And that's a feeling that I love as a reader, when I can't put a book down, I have to keep reading. And I almost picked up my camera right when I finished it to film it, even though it was super late and the lighting was absolute trash, because I loved it so much. But instead, my husband had to hear my initial thoughts about this one. That being said, this is our first book that we finished in this vlog, and the first book that is checked off of my May TBR, but I've been bitten by the fantasy bug, and it's made me want to pick up another new release fantasy romance or maybe romantasy. I don't know. I feel like it's hard for me. I don't really look up the genres of books when I buy them. I can just kind of gauge as I'm reading whether it's a fantasy romance or a romantasy. But regardless, the next book that I'm going to read is in that realm because of how much I enjoyed Weaving Shaw. I kind of wanted to see if I could just continue on that. So I'm deviating a little bit from the May TBR, but I picked up Starside by Alex Astor, and so far so good. It is very early days. I'm literally on page 26, okay? But already in these 26 pages, we've had a battle sequence, we've had a character death, and it's really thrown me into the deep end with this story, and I'm really excited about that. We've already met who I believe is our male main character, and it is definitely going to be an enemies to lovers scenario, which I do love. I hope that it's a slow burn. We will see, but it's so good so far. One thing that I wanted to note to you guys is that this book has my favorite sprayed edges I've ever had in a book. I don't subscribe to any book subscriptions. However, for just a normal book that I picked up at Target because I wanted to read this so bad, these sprayed edges are absolutely incredible. The depth of the clouds in this sky, the lightning. Sorry, people are going crazy down at the pool right now, but I'm just absolutely loving the landscape on the bottom and the silhouette of the dragon. They're so beautiful. And then the metallic inside papers are also really, really beautiful. It's the map, which I absolutely love. But I'm really excited to continue to read this book because I've heard great things about it, and the quotes that I've heard between, the FMC from other people have made me really excited about it. So far, from what I understand, so in this world, there's like this competition that our female main character is entering. I want to tell you a little bit about what I've read so far, but I feel like the best thing would just be, I'm going to read you guys the summary of this, and then I'll kind of give you where my thoughts on what's happened so far. But it says, hundreds of years ago, a brutal war split the land in two. Starside is the realm of magic and immortals, the descendants of the gods living in a power-rich paradise. Stormside is where mortals fight for scraps of that magic. Every 50 years, the gates between them open and 50 challengers are allowed to journey across Starside on a deadly quest for magic that can heal, grant wealth, or extend life. Everyone has their reasons for entering, but Eris has only one: vengeance against the gods who killed her family. Winning one of the 50 spots on the quest won't be easy. As an orphaned blacksmith's apprentice, Eris doesn't have the superior weapons of the heirs from the great houses, but the greatest swords, ones that contain power, are not inherited or bought. They are claimed by both sides. And I'm going to stop there because I feel like that's about to give me a spoiler, and we're just going to stop there. So far, our female main character has already battled her way into this competition. In order to enter into this competition, the way that it's set up is there's this platform, and in order to enter in this competition, you have like a few minutes to make it onto that platform. Not only is there a time constraint, but there's also a constraint of only 50 people can make it to the platform. So you're having to fight each other that are racing for this platform, and you're also having to fight the king's guards who are also there cutting people down, basically for people's entertainment, because this is open to anybody who's traveled to watch this competition. So our female main character has to make her way and basically cut her way to this platform. And the last person who makes it onto this platform with no resistance whatever is our MMC, who is kind of like a captain of the guard and who has claimed one of these ancient great swords that it described in the summary. And all we know so far is that he and our female main character have some bad blood in between them. I think that he captured her at some point, and she begged him for mercy, and he didn't grant it. That's basically where we're at so far, and I am just really excited. It sounds very promising, and yeah, it's Sunday, and Sunday are really busy family days, which is why I'm just now checking in with you guys and just now starting to read a book today around 4 p.m. And we still have another family thing that we're going to do today, so I know I'm going to be out and about with my kids for a bit, but I am planning on getting some reading done before then, and then a little bit tonight. So if anything, I will check in with you guys tomorrow, and my hope is to get to at least page 100 tonight, but I would love to get past that. We will see. I guess this vlog is just going to be nighttime updates. That's how it is now that I'm working and my kids are out of school for summer, which if you didn't know, I know I've already mentioned my kids, but if you didn't know, I'm a mom of two. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. And then I also just recently started working about 2 months ago. I work part-time as like a personal assistant for a company that's in the wedding industry, and I do really love it. I like being able to have a little something that's a little bit more like mentally stimulating, and having a group of women I work with that I get to talk to and just collaborate with. It's a lot of fun. But it does mean that I feel like most of the time I get my reading done at night right now, because if I'm not working, I'm with my kids. If I'm not with my kids, I'm working, vice versa. But we have quite an update because I have gotten through a big chunk of Starside, and I'm really, really liking this, which I am so happy about because I actually have read 2 other books by this author. I enjoyed her summer romance, which is Summer in the City. I think I gave that like a 4-star, and then Light Lark was probably about a 3-star read for me, and then I didn't continue on in the series. That's, nothing against the book. I just didn't feel like there was a need for me to continue the series for some reason, and because I'm in the middle of so many series, I really have to be super invested in a story for me to continue to read it. So I was a little bit nervous when I picked up Starside. I mainly bought it because not only are other people raving about it, but it's just such a beautiful book. Like, again, the sprayed edges are incredible. And I am so pleasantly surprised by it. I feel like I've struggled with fantasy, like I've said recently. This has been a lot of fun. I'm now on page 320, and obviously I got a great chunk of reading done yesterday and last night, and then this morning I'm starting to try to wake up early before my kids and at least go on a walk, if not go to the gym. And so today when I went on a walk before I went to the gym, I was listening to it on Spotify. I'm just so in the story and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I feel like I can definitely see her writing has gotten better than when she wrote Lightlark. I really think that her characters seem like they're more mature, and I'm just really liking it. I like the world that she's built. I think it's really well-rounded, and I love that we're seeing multiple fantastical creatures that she clearly has pretty much made up herself. We're running into these creatures as she's in this competition, or culling, I guess I think it's called, and that's really cool. That's something that I liked about Shield of Sparrows, was that not only like did we have this really cool world, but we also had all of these different creatures. I just think it's so creative and it's something fun other than just dragons. Like, we have multiple different kinds of dragons, but we also have saber-toothed wolves, and we've got bears that have like quills on their back and all of this. We have our female main character who's entered into this tournament, and she befriends / makes two allies that she is quickly separated from. And it's crazy because you really care about these characters right off the bat, and then one of them just like gets injured and is not able to continue, and then the other one she gets separated from, and we still don't know where they are. But she quickly ends up finding and allying with Harlan Raker, who is our MMC, and we don't really know much about their past other than there's some bad blood in between them. So it's interesting to see that she's relying on him and he's actually allowing her to be in his presence. Something that's really cool is that while you're in this competition, when you go through these gates, I guess, when you join this competition, and it is to start, because obviously the humans, the mortals, they live in Stormside, they live kind of in squalor, honestly. And then in Starside, it's a lot more lush. It's not a desert like Stormside is. There's all these resources, and that is because there's magic. But with magic, obviously, comes these creatures and all these things that try to kill you. So it's really interesting to see the contrast between both of the sides. And then as she's in Stormside, there are these creatures that live in the Beast Tree. There's these Helmhawks, which I'm kind of picturing like griffins, and then there's also different kinds of dragons. And how you can bond with a beast, first of all, it's a very like slim chance that you'll bond with them, is you have to jump off of the top of this really tall beast tree, and if a creature catches you, then they choose you and you're bonded to them. It kind of reminds me of Avatar, because that's kind of similar, where the Na'vi like jump off of this mountain and try to land on one of them. So it's really interesting. And then not only that, but there are swords of all different calibers, and when you cross into Starside, there's a possibility that a sword will choose you, which is basically you can come across it and you reach your hand out, and if it comes to you, then it is yours. And she immediately ends up bonding with this really incredible sword, which is almost like completely, I can't remember what the metal is called, but basically the best kind of a metal, and it's a kind of silver. And so that has painted a target on her back, because you can win these swords by killing the person who had it and then seeing if it'll bond with you. And so she has this huge target on her back. She's got enemies. So there's all these different things going on. She's trying to make it across this terrain to where she's supposed to be able to meet the gods. And a lot of people are going to the gods to be able to get a cup full of this magic that will not only bring good things to their land, but it could heal people. It could do all different things. And this magic is why people are risking their lives going into this competition. We have a girl who's trying to save her sister who's really sick. We just have all of these different reasons why people are joining. But hers is because she wants to bring down the gods. One of the gods wiped out her town, decimated her village, and also killed her entire family in these flames, this power that this goddess had. And so she is wanting to just get a chance to get in front of them and end them. So it's really interesting. Obviously, we see kind of a weak human girl who, yes, has some sword play history because she worked with a blacksmith who has been in this competition before, but she's not really anything quote unquote special. The only thing that's different about her, she has these silver like markings and veins on her, and we don't really know what that has to do, if that means she has magic. Like, we don't really know what it means, but we know that the king covets anything that's silver, whether it's swords or just different trinkets, creatures, and so she's always hidden her markings. So now that could be a problem with her working with Harlan Raker because he's like the head of the King's Guard. Anyways, we've gone through so many things, like so many near-death experiences. The two of them are just these like reluctant allies. And yeah, it's really interesting. One really interesting thing about our male main character is he's been wearing a mask this entire time. It is page 320 and we don't even know what he looks like other than he's really tall and really strong. So that's really interesting to picture an MMC. Like, you don't even need to picture their face because he has a hood on all of the time. So I'm really, really intrigued to see if we'll get to even see his face before the end of this book. And it wasn't until very recently that we've had like a little bit of crumbs of potentially a romance where I'm not really sure where this is going to go, but I'm intrigued. I'm liking the slow burn. I'm liking the reluctant allies slash enemies to lovers. I would put them in both categories. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see where this goes. I only have, let's see how long the book is, if I can do this without spoiling it for myself. So there are 497 pages and I'm on page 320. So we've got like 177 pages left. So I don't know that I'll finish it tonight, but I do want to get some more reading done, maybe like another 50 pages, and then we'll for sure finish it tomorrow. I don't not see me finishing it tomorrow because I'm really into the story, and I'm just having such a great time that we're only a few days into this, maybe halfway through this week at this point. I think I started this on Friday. It's now Monday, but I'm so excited that I'm already finding books that I love so much, and I feel like normally I read like 5 books in these vlogs, but these ones are quite heavy, denser fantasies, but I'm still so happy with the progress I've made. And the most important thing is I'm loving what I'm reading. So I'm so excited to see where this goes and then see what I pick up next, but we'll see. Okay, it's actually morning, if you can't tell, and I just sat down to do some work, but I have to talk to you guys about this first. I am sure that you guys have seen my reaction that I just filmed on my phone because I could not put this book down. I literally thought that I was not going to finish this book until today and last night. I just kept reading and reading and reading and could not put this book down. The ending has me absolutely shocked. I literally was looking up last night to see when the next book is coming out, and it actually comes out in November, called Stormside. And let me just say something. I am so excited about all of the authors lately who are giving us 2 releases a year. Obviously, I do want authors to take their time because I think obviously that just lends to having better writing in books, better developed plots, but I'm just saying this was incredible and I am so excited. I'm not complaining that we will have another book this year because I can't. I literally made my husband pause his video game and I just had to be like, I'm dead at this ending and you need to sit here and give me your full attention so that I can tell you everything that just happened in this book. And he literally was like, his eyes were widening in the right places and he was like, if that was a TV show, I would % watch it, which is high praise from him because he does not read ever. It's just not his thing. I keep trying to convince him. He did start listening to Fourth Wing back in the day, but it just really is not his thing. And it's okay. As long as he listens to my synopses with bated breath, then we can forgive him for that one. Anyways, this really was so good. It took me on so many twists and turns. It definitely was a true, almost like a hate to love, enemies to lovers, very, very slow burn. There was nothing until like the last 15%. And then I would say there was quite a longer spice scene, definitely skippable, but I loved our characters and I really liked their relationship. I loved the world. I was just so intrigued by it. I think I'm gonna give this like a 4.5 star. I had so much fun with it. I will say there were just like little things that kept this from being a 5 star for me. I think one thing for me was that our female main character had so many like near-death experiences, as you would in this competition, but very rarely, if any did she actually save herself. It was a lot of our MMC Harlan coming in. She's gotten too far away from him and he gets there just at the right time. And I kind of just found myself wishing that she was able to find her way out of more of these scenarios. And I totally understand, like, she doesn't have the brute force, she's malnourished. But I think I just would have hoped for her own mind to, either through strategy or cunning or something, to be able to save herself a few times. And that's just very nitpicky. I don't even know if that makes sense, but tell me if you agree with me. I just think it happens so often in this story where she ended up having to be saved that I just kind of wished we had a few instances where she was able to kind of do things herself, if that makes sense. Like, we had moments where I'm like, oh, she is saving herself, but then something would happen and she doesn't. And then other than that, I have this very small, like, unique pet peeve when it comes to fantasy, and it's when we have our female main character who has no business, like, being so mouthy when it comes to her being surrounded by all of these dangerous men. And I love a female main character who is strong, but there were certain instances where she would say things and then think in her mind, oh, that was stupid. I probably shouldn't have said that to these people. And I'm like, if it was me, and again, maybe it's just a difference in age and we get that less with older female main characters, but she would say things that I'm like, why are all of these FMCs in these fantasy series always having to be loudmouth, always having to be these people that they have no self-preservation. They talk about how much their goal means to them and how they are singularly focused on her goal. So for her, right, is avenging her family. And then there will be these instances where all she would have to do is just keep quiet and she wouldn't make any problems for herself and she would continue on her goal. But then she would say something and it almost felt out of character because I just, again, kept thinking, for a character that is so single-minded and focused on their goal, if she would have just stayed silent, it would have made a lot more sense. For example, like if we're in a bar and there's this guy who's got a ton of guys with him and you clearly cannot defeat him in a battle and all he's really doing is running his mouth, like he's not putting his hands on her or whatever. I'm not saying that what he's doing is okay, but I'm just like, couldn't you just have snuck out and like unalived him in his sleep rather than saying something that put such a huge target on your back and then put you in another position where you have to be saved by our male main character? Does that make sense? Like those little things sometimes make a female main character a little bit insufferable to me. I did like our female main character. I think that it was just these two instances within the same book that just kind of stuck out to me. And it's something that I've noticed in a lot of fantasy series where these female main characters will say things and they're just not able to back it up. And there's a difference between letting something slide just because you don't have the courage to speak up, or there's a difference between knowing what your goal is, especially if you're trying to save your family or if you're avenging your family. There are like little things that it's like a stupid comment to me that could potentially get you killed and then your family isn't avenged. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if that bugs anyone else. It's just me. Like, I do want an outspoken female main character, but sometimes they just be saying things that I'm like, are you actually thinking before you say something? It just seems a little less realistic. Anyways, that's just a very, very small things. Obviously, that was just two instances in here that just kept it from being a 5-star, but it's still like a very high rating for me, and I'm very excited to see where this story goes specifically with how it ended. And I have already picked out my next read. Before I went to bed last night, I was thinking about it and I'm like, I'm just in the mood to continue on this fantasy train. I know I really should be reading my TBR, but I know I'll get it done this month like I almost always do. So I just wanted to continue on this fantasy journey, especially because I do have quite a few books on my shelves that I've been saving and I haven't gotten into them yet. So I wanted to make sure that I read them. So I want to read them while I'm in the mood to read them. Another book I've heard incredible things about is This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Ilona Andrews. And basically the premise of this book is a girl wakes up in her favorite epic fantasy series, and think of more like Game of Thrones or something like that. where it's very bloody. The world is very, very cutthroat. It is not going to be kind to any character. And she wakes up naked in a gutter and kind of has to use her mind and her knowledge of what happens in the series to be able to work her way up from there. It's very early days in this book, very early. I'm on page 42. Definitely it is feeling like an epic fantasy where we've got a lot of things going on, especially with our characters' foresight into what's happening and into this world. I started it off listening to the audio this morning. I just put it on while I was going to the gym, and that's typically something I like to do when I have a book that is either intimidating me or if I've put it off for a while. I like to just listen to it on audio, really get into it, and then I'll switch to physical. So I've been reading a little bit of the physical. Haven't had too much time. I will say it does feel like there's a lot of words on these pages. Even though they're bigger pages, the words are really not that big. So I do think it's going to take me some time to read for sure. It's another one that's just under 500 pages. It is, let's see here, 470 pages. So we'll see how long it takes me to read. But I'm really liking the world so far. We've already got some mentions of magical creatures. We've already met some really interesting characters and been to some interesting places already, even just in the first 40 pages. So I'm really, really excited to read this. I've just heard rave reviews about this from anybody who mentions it. I've not heard a single bad thing. So I'm really, really excited to continue reading it and to let you guys know how I like it. Hopefully this vlog is interesting to watch. I've gotten positive feedback when I've posted these before, but sometimes when I am just going through my mundane day and just talking to you guys about what I'm reading, I just think like, is this totally boring to watch? Anyways, I will update you when I'm a little bit further in the book. Okay guys, it's sunset and the sun is actually quite brutal, so apologies for the sunglasses. I had to hop on here because I did not think I was going to be saying this, but I am getting 5-star feelings from another book this week, which is absolutely nuts, guys, because it's been so long. Not only has it been like 2 months since my last 5-star, but again, like I told you guys, up until I read Weaving Shaw, I had no 5-star fantasies for the past 6 or 7 months, and now here we are with potentially another 5-star. I cannot put this book down. I can't quite say I'm flying through it, even though I know I've read a lot today. I ended yesterday on page 91 on chapter 10, and now I'm currently on page 221, chapter 22. And all I want to do is read. All I want to do is read because the story has gotten so good. I just feel like it's been a while since I've read an epic fantasy. I am very normally intimidated by them just because the last one that I tried, I just didn't connect with the characters. Like I always feel like an epic fantasy that I feel like I'm watching them from afar and I'm not connecting with the characters, and I think it's because with like a ton of POVs generally happening in epic fantasy, it's kind of hard for me to feel really, really invested in all of our characters. But somehow in this epic fantasy, you know, we're getting our main character's perspective the entire time, and I think it's just really working for me, guys. I'm having so much fun. I feel like this world feels so complete. I don't know how else to say it other than there's so much detail, there's so many characters, and I worried about how I would feel with our female main character going into her favorite fantasy series and then us hearing about her insider information, and I wondered if because we were kind of getting it almost in like a game of telephone, because obviously we have an unreliable narrator with her memory as far as a series, at least what I thought in my head, but that's not happening. Her recollection of everything and her perspectives of each of the characters and her recounting it in her head is, again, it just feels so complete that I'm just sat right there in it, and I feel like I'm reading that series along with her. I love having a female main character who has insider feelings towards specific characters and who has seen these different characters, of which there are quite a few, and she's seen the original author of this series that she's in love with really deal them like a horrible hand, just because in epic high fantasy there is very, very high stakes and not everything ends up all happy and well. Not every character gets the ending that they quote unquote deserve, and because she's a reader, she has that connection that you and I have with certain characters where you just fall in love with them and you're rooting for them. And so she is manipulating storylines a little bit. That way her favorite characters that are truthfully good people, that have their intentions in the right place, or even if they're not like great people but their intentions are good because they'll do anything for their families, she just is working behind the scenes to keep them safe and to give them a better storyline than the author did. And I just love it because I feel like our female main character, I just relate with her so much. She's doing things in the way that I would do them, and so I think that's why I'm really, really loving this book. And something really interesting I found out by doing some research on this author's website is this is actually a husband and wife team, and I feel that this book is very almost like gender neutral. Yes, we have our female main character who is a female, but everything that's going on, I truthfully feel like anybody who loves fantasy would love this book, and I just can't talk about it enough. I feel like we are having our male main character, I'm just guessing at who it is, even though we've had our female main character mention other characters who she's had crushes on in this world, but our male main character, I just love him. I love his storyline. He's trying to find his son. His wife has been unalived after he came home from war. Instead of having this like grand reunion which he was expecting, there was nobody there waiting for him, and he's been looking for his son, and she is trying to help him and like help his storyline to find his son. They can't storm the castle to go get him right now, but she's just like begging him to be patient because she has seen that in the original storyline him and his son both have very tragic endings, and so she's trying to work it in such a way that they're doing things cautiously and that hopefully he'll get a happy ending, and we're seeing him start to trust her and start to protect her, and I love it. Like, I love it so much. I can't tell you everything that's happening in this book because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I really, really, really implore you to pick up this book. Again, I'm only halfway through, but I'm just loving it so much. But also there's so much happening that I'd need an hour to tell you every little storyline of every character and all the things that our female main character is putting into place behind the scenes for things to work out for this world and for these characters that she loves. But it's just so much. But this is why I love reading. Books like this are why I love reading. I want to just immerse myself in this world that seems so real because it's so detailed and because the authors are so meticulous in the worlds they create, and you can really, really tell that these authors love the characters that they're writing about, and it's so tangible. Oh, I'm just loving this, you guys. I am just loving this, and I cannot wait to finish the book. I just can't. So I feel like I'm going to do a good chunk of reading tonight. I really don't think I'll finish it tonight. We'll see, because I said that before. I don't think I'll finish it tonight, especially because Today, Every Year After came out on Prime, and I do want to watch at least one episode tonight. I'm waiting for my sister-in-law to get off of work because she works later, and then I'm going to try to time it so that we can start it at the same time and live text it. I'm really excited about that, so that will take me away from reading for a little bit. But guys, I'm just loving it, and I can't wait to give you guys my next update. Okay, so another very sunny shot, but it's the end of the day. It is now Thursday, and I can't believe it because tomorrow ends the reading vlog. So really everything that we read today is going to finish us off. I'm a little over 100 pages away from finishing This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me. And guys, I think I'm having like 6-star feelings with this book. I am so invested in it, and I love just everything about it. I know I yapped so much about it yesterday, so I don't want to do that too much, but I did just want to update you guys that I'm still loving it. I am loving the characters, guys. I'm just so sad for this series, and I honestly wish that they were already all out because I would devour them up, and it would be a series that I feel like I would just never shut up about, as I am not shutting up about it now. But it's so good. Like, I'm really loving it, and I can't believe how well this vlog is going. Hopefully you guys can hear me, by the way, because I realized that I have the AC absolutely cranking because it's literally 100 degrees right now, and hopefully that's not affecting the audio too much. But anyways, I need to get out of my house. I need to do my version of touching grass, which obviously, like, I've been doing my daily walks in the morning, but I just need a little time to myself. And so what I'm going to be doing is I am going to go thrifting. It's been so long since I've been thrifting, and then I'm going to round that out by finishing it up at my favorite local bookstore. And I'm just going to take my handy dandy little AirPods with me and hopefully listen to a good bit of this. I am just terrified that my Spotify hours are going to finish because I haven't discovered how on Spotify to look up how long you have left, but I am loving this book. I think the book's pretty good. I do wish that it was like wet narration, which it's not, but I still think that the female narrator is doing a really good job of narrating it. And yeah, so I'm just really excited to have a little night to myself. I'm going to take you guys with me, and I feel like that'll round out today's vlog in kind of an exciting way. So let's go have some fun little me time and finish this book. You guys, we need to talk because this book right here has entered into the realm of the god tier fantasy books, and honestly just the realm of the god tier books in general. I cannot believe I'm saying that because I think the last time a book entered that sphere, man, I'm really having to think back. Probably The Nightingale, but for fantasy it was probably Throne of Glass, or maybe it was the Shepherd King duology. But if we're thinking fantasy, of all of the books that I read last year, I think only 2 series, maybe 3 series made it into my god tier fantasy series, which I feel like I need to do another video of just taking you guys through my all-time favorite fantasy books as a harsh critic of fantasy, but also a lover of fantasy, okay? Anyways, we need to focus and get back to the book on hand. I feel like the energy that this book has given me, it makes me feel like I just drank an energy drink, if you can't tell. I'm like bouncing off the walls to talk to you guys about this book. And I truthfully just can't believe how good it was. I sat next to my husband earlier today. I laid down next to my husband earlier today while our kids were playing, and I basically gave him an hour-long walkthrough of this book to the best of my ability, and I still couldn't do it the justice that I feel like it deserves. I feel like from now on, I need to devour everything that this husband, wife, author, writing team, duo, whatever you want to call it, has written, because it was so good, you guys. It was so good. Here's the mark of a good book. When I find myself finishing a scene and I automatically have to go back and reread that scene. That's how good this was, and that has not happened to me probably in a year. And it wasn't even like a romantic scene or anything like that. It would just be a scene where the dialogue was so good, or something would happen that was just so mind-blowing that I had to go back and reread it. That happened like 2 or 3 times in this book, just to give you a little bit of an idea of how much I love this book. 6 stars, infinity stars. I just feel like if you are somebody who wants their fantasy worlds to really feel like they are an actual world, this world just feels so complex and yet so approachable. I loved almost every single character in this series. I felt strongly toward every single character, whether it was in a good way or a bad way, and that again is just a sign of a really good book. There were multiple characters here that I just was like, I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this girl because of their actions, because of who they were, and I just cannot wait to be reunited with this cast of characters in the next installment of the book. There's truly the best sense of found family, and if you are somebody who likes a really good solid fantasy with just like a subplot of romance that is just crumbs but makes you keep going, you need to pick up this book because it was actually incredible. And I loved that during the story we had like multiple male main characters where we're kind of like, could this be the guy she ends up with? Could this be the guy she ends up with? But even though that wasn't the point, that was just my mind being like, oh my gosh, I love this male character so much. Like, could there be a plot with him, or are we gonna find out who he's gonna end up with? It just felt so complete. And even though we were only in one POV in this installment, and I kind of hope, honestly, that it continues that way. I felt like all of the characters were so three-dimensional, were so real, that they really felt like they could jump off the page. It was so good, and I did not expect it to be this good. So for that, hats off to these authors, because it's going to go down as one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. Like, I loved it that much. I really did. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up this week of reading, which is absolutely crazy. I cannot believe that we're here, but we are. So it is time to just wrap it up, and I will leave my ultimate page count on the bottom of this part of the video. This was so fun. Let me know if you guys want to see me do another video like this. I just feel like I've been bit by the fantasy bug, because all of the ones that I have been reading this week are so good. So I'm really excited about that. I was already looking up on social media books like the last book that I just read, because it was so good. I'm like, I need more. I need more books that are fantasies, that have good politics, that also have a relatable female main character and have a subplot of romance. Like, I need all the things. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me, my darling friends. I love talking to you guys. I love yapping about books, and thanks for letting me do it. So without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!